Introducing the Atlassian Advantage podcast series. Welcome to our first episode, DevOps Delivers.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for joining our podcast today to take a deeper dive into DevOps solutions with Atlassian. My name is Sean O'Sullivan with the Atlassian team at CARAHCAST Technology Corporation, and I'm here today with Atlassian's Ken Urban, Senior Solutions Engineer. Thank you for joining us today, Ken.
Thank you for having me here today, Sean.
Excited to have you. The team at CARAHCAST often receives a lot of questions from our government customers asking about how Atlassian can ease the pain of shifting to DevOps and the benefits to using Atlassian technology to make their agencies work smarter and faster. Ken, I guess I'll start off with my first question here. We often run into different interpretations of what agencies actually consider a DevOps transformation. So how would you describe a DevOps transformation?
Yeah, absolutely. A DevOps transformation is the process by which you can change both the development and operation cultures within your agency to align with a new philosophy rooted in agile methodologies and continuous delivery. How you achieve that is very different for each team within your agency. It will typically involve significant organizational and cultural changes, some of which might be difficult to achieve. There's no standard for a DevOps transformation, so I'm not surprised that you run into a dozen different definitions of it a day, because as I mentioned, it's a philosophy. You need to take that philosophy and mold it to your own team or agency culture and find what works best for you. It might be that you can do agile development, but you can't do continuous delivery into production systems due to supporting a mission-critical system. That's okay. You can still do DevOps though. With that in mind, there are a few basic tenets that I see in most DevOps transformations. The first is that you're going to need to do your homework. Are you groaning yet? You need to know what to change and why, though. So what's broken or not working like it should, in other words? Maybe the answer to that is nothing. Okay, so what do you want to improve upon? Was there some objective that you wish you could have made? Maybe that production release with a really cool feature didn't quite make it out in time to have that impact that you'd hoped it would. That right there is your reason for change. As part of your homework, you're also going to want to arm yourself with examples of teams that are working similarly and having success. Preferably, they'll be teams that are either organizationally near you or very well known. The second is to build a coalition. It's impossible to effect a cultural change by yourself and almost impossible to change policies and procedures unless you have a specific authority to do so. Rarely will a single person or a team have both. That makes coalition building critical. Find or convince others to be advocates for your cause. In addition to starting to help you start the process within your team, these individuals will serve as change agents to bring your philosophy to the larger organization, to an even broader audience. The third is to start small and then scale the transformation. Massive across-the-board changes will either fail outright or be resisted to the point of uselessness. Small wins become critical here. Prove out that a change works and provides benefit. For example, get the operations team involved in the release process, or get the development team involved in outages so they can see and feel the pain that operations has on a daily basis. The point, in either case, is to slowly change your culture.
So it's interesting that you actually bring up scale there. With our government customers, we're seeing deployments supporting 10 users to 10,000 users. So obviously scale is an important discussion topic for us. What does scaling DevOps transformation entail?
Yep. So scaling here is really more about institutionalizing the culture that you developed. You take it from one team and you spread it across your entire organization or agency. This is where you're going to need your top cover or your senior management, in other words. It's important here to have an advocate who can speak across organizations on your behalf to show other senior leaders why they should consider changing their organization's culture to be more like yours. Note, I said more like and not to be the same culture. Don't force your culture onto others. Let them take the same journey you just did, but with your support. Help them avoid the pitfalls that you ran into, but don't dictate to them. Nobody likes to be dictated to. This is also where you start to consider things like standardizing on methodologies and tool sets. Though again, I'd caution not to force your tools or policies onto others. An easier solution is to make your tool set and policies available for consumption. For example, invite the other teams to join your Jira instance. Document your policies and procedures, etc. in Confluence and make them visible outside your team. Be as transparent as you can be while still respecting good security practices. More often than not, other teams will follow your lead and use the same tooling and adapt your processes to their own needs. Of course, some teams will have unique needs or reasons for doing it differently, and that's entirely okay too. Metrics also become very critical at this point. Management will look for terms like key performance indicators, KPIs, among other things. Whatever methodology or terminology they want to see, the important point here is to be able to prove that your way is better than the old way. It's hard to argue with your team being able to release more features with less downtime when you put that into a chart in front of a senior leader.
All right, so those are a lot of good pointers. Are there any other aspects, though, of the DevOps transformation that you would say maybe are commonly overlooked when it comes to scaling?